there's about 25% of an active email list churns every year. If it's been 2 or 3 years more since you've emailed, a lot of those email addresses are no longer valid. You have to actually prune it too. Otherwise, you're going to get unchecked growth and lots of dead emails that you are still paying for.
Welcome to another episode of the Play Big Faster podcast. I'm your host, Scherrie, and on today's episode, we have MV Braverman. MV is the founder of Inbox Welcome, where she helps solopreneurs and small businesses maximize their email marketing effectiveness through improved deliverability and center reputation. With over a decade of experience working with smaller brands, MV specializes in demystifying the technical aspects of email marketing while creating authentic communication systems that actually reach your inbox. If you've been pouring resources into email marketing with disappointing results, this episode is going to give you the behind-the-scenes knowledge to transform your dormant email list into a powerful business asset. MV, welcome to the podcast.
I'm glad to be here. Thanks so much for having me.
So tell me, did you just turn the computer on one day and decide, hey, I'm going to figure out this email thing? How did you get here?
Oof, that's a long story, but I've been in tech ever since I was a teenager. I still dream of dial-up noises.
Okay.
Aging myself a little bit, but that's okay. I grew up without visual interfaces, like just basic command line, and tech has pretty much been all I've been interested in. So I started out in tech support, system administration, and when I had kids, I went out on my own and did support for people for all kinds of things. And I became a Google Workspace administrator because it's one of my favorite products. And one time a new client reached out to me and said, I'm a speaker and I go to these conventions and I speak and people ask me to send them proposals. Like they ask me, they want these proposals, but then I never hear from them again. Can you help me fix this? And so I went down this rabbit hole of what is it that gets an email into an inbox. It is nowhere near as simple as it was 10, 20, 30 years ago.
So the name of your company is Inbox Welcome, and that I really think speaks to the heart of what many entrepreneurs struggle with, is actually getting their emails seen. We have so many listeners who are small businesses, and they invest a lot in building email lists, but they aren't seeing the growth that they expect. What are some of the common deliverability mistakes that you see that are preventing messages from actually reaching their audience?
Mailbox providers are actually very open about a lot of these things. Google summarized it in kind of 3 points, which is authenticate your emails. So prove that you are who you say you are. The volume of spam and phishing and all kinds of bad email things has grown exponentially, especially since ChatGPT came around. So you have to prove who you are, who you say you are. And the human side of that is don't change your display names and don't send from a bunch of different email addresses. Sometimes small business owners rebrand or change direction and they just keep sending as usual. And people are wondering, who the heck is this? So the second point is the most important, I think, is send the emails that people want. Ask them for permission and tell them what to expect and deliver on that promise. And then the third thing is make it easy to unsubscribe. Again, there's a technical side to that, but visually, a lot of people think that if you make it difficult for people to get off your list, they're just going to give up and stay. I'm not sure what the thinking is. There's these tiny little 6-point font unsubscribe links in footers that are like light gray on white. That's not how things work anymore. I'm sorry. If they ever did, these days, the power is in the subscribers' hands and mailbox providers are there to support them. And we have to play by their rules.
Oh yeah. Anytime that I'm finding difficulty trying to unsubscribe, I'll just report it as spam, and that just immediately gets it out of my inbox.
Exactly.
Yeah, so definitely. Now, your TCR method, that really sounds like a framework that my audience needs. So break it down for us a little bit.
So when I do a deliverability audit, I end up looking at these 3 broad areas, which is tech, content, and relationship. So the tech is the underlying things that people don't think about, but that are important. And of course, these days, Google is, and Yahoo and other providers are requiring it to be all in order. So again, this authenticating your emails. There's a lot of other things that go into tech. And the next one is your content. And all of these overlap in some ways. But your content is, what exactly are you sending? What does it look like? You might have a really beautiful email, but if it's just all one image and no one can see it, it doesn't matter how pretty it is. Is it accessible? Is it mobile friendly? And these days, is it dark mode friendly? There's not really great data, but about half of email opens are on mobile, and people these days are about 1/3 dark mode, 1/3 light mode only, and 1/3 are like me, where we switch light mode during the day, dark mode at night. But a lot of times people don't think about this. Their images and other things and buttons do not look the way that they intended them to. And then the third one is the relationship. Have you built up a relationship with this person? Did they opt in? Of course. Did they confirm? Do they know what they're signing up for? Are they opening your emails? Are they clicking? Are they replying? Are they engaging? There's a lot of signals that we send to mailbox providers that we as senders don't know about, and even we as recipients don't know about, but that they look closely at. And you probably see this when you subscribe to a lot of emails these days. They're going to say reply and let me know. Replies are very strong engagement signals. Probably the strongest is someone dragging your email out of spam. So definitely tell them to please go look. We do, but people often forget. So those are the three big pillars: tech, content, and relationship.
Now, on the tech side, if you are not tech savvy, that can feel very overwhelming. Do you have any recommendations on systems that will help automate your email marketing that are for people that are non-techie?
Ooh, you ask tough questions. I don't know if I would say that the most important thing is to automate and make it easy. I think the most important thing is to not buy into that set it and forget it myth. I swear if I had $1 for every time I hear that, I live in the Bay Area, I'd probably have a down payment for a house. But it's a set it and regret it, because things break, things change, your business direction might change. Your automations are your brand ambassadors, essentially. Your welcome email is going to get seen before they ever talk to you, chances are. Is it presenting what you want them to present? So I think it doesn't have to be fancy, but it needs to be up to date.
That is such an interesting way to put it, because sometimes we do just set it as an automation and then we forget about it, but we do need to check in from time to refresh it. What exactly, when you talk about sender reputation, what exactly is that, and how do you avoid getting a bad sender reputation? Because I know that has something to do with your deliverability. And I don't think a lot of people think about that when they are maybe purchasing email lists or they've scraped a list. How do you work that into your plan so that you're not damaging your sender reputation?
Okay, I'm just going to tell you right off the bat, please don't do that. Don't buy lists. Don't scrape them. LinkedIn is now, and other platforms are now really stepping down on that. They don't want you to scrape. Buying lists, yes, it is technically legal in the US. It's not going to fly in a lot of other countries, but really it's not effective. I saw someone from a platform for political emails. So they facilitate political emails. Of course, we were having an election season, and political emails are exempt from canned spam. So they don't actually even have to abide by the pretty lax regulations that we have. But what they said is they did a study, and it took about 5 years to pay off the cost of acquiring lists, because they basically have to play whack-a-mole. Their sender reputation was being destroyed by these unsolicited email. And your sender reputation is basically, and it's not, you don't have one global sender reputation. You have a sender reputation with each mailbox provider. And there are also some block lists that are global that some providers use. But essentially, if you bought a whole bunch of Gmail addresses and you sent them emails that they did not expect to receive, and they predictably marked them as spam, then Google sits up and pays attention and says, that did not go well, so let's not show any more to any other of our customers. And your sender reputation is now trashed with Google. It used to take maybe weeks to recover. Now it's months. Even if it was a genuine mistake, never mind if it was malicious or poorly thought out.
So what about the business who has an email list? And these are people who've opted in and requested to be on their list, but the list has gone cold. What are some recommendations for re-engaging that list?
So first things first, run it through an email verification service. And not necessarily like some of them will say this is a spam trap or this is that. That's not necessarily what I would advocate for, but rather does this email address actually still exists? Because people change jobs, people abandon their accounts. There's about 25% of an active email list churns every year. If it's been 2 or 3 years more since you've emailed, a lot of those email addresses are no longer valid. So once you discard those invalid addresses, I would advocate for a gentle reintroduction. I've seen people start emailing me actually pretty recently that I have not heard from since 2021, and they're immediately launching into sales mode, like nothing happened. No, I did not miss them in my mailbox, but yes, I do search to see when is the last time I heard from this person or from this business. So acknowledge, unless it was a pretty short period of time, acknowledge that it's been a while, remind them who you are, remind them why they and where they might have signed up for your list, and then say, this is what's going to be happening going forward. Essentially like you're getting new members, but they don't quite remember who the heck you are and why they should care about you and not send you straight to spam.
I know you said that we don't want to just set emails and forget them, but what are some instances that automations would be a plus in your business, or like where in your business could you benefit from automations?
Those are not mutually exclusive things. Automations are absolutely a benefit to your business. They multiply. The important thing is that you check on your automations. It's you're planting a garden. You don't want to let it run wild. You need to tend to your list. A lot of times I see people, especially small businesses, just focus on growth. Grow, add. Again, 25% of your list is turning over. You have to actually prune it too. Otherwise, you're going to get unchecked growth and lots of dead emails that you are still paying for.
So what about AI and the role that AI has played? Because almost every person that I get on the podcast, we have an AI story somewhere. And you're having more and more models that are coming out. It used to be ChatGPT, and then you had other models that were out. So now there's this big thing with AI replacing people or taking people's jobs or eradicating the use for certain professions. What are your thoughts on that as it relates to email marketing?
Again, this is one of those things where people are like, I just want to set it and forget it. I just want to get myself out of the way. This is a mistake. What I really advocate for is keep a human in the loop. This dream of my AI goes out to research keywords and writes content and publishes it and sends it out. No, because it's going to send out things you're not going to be proud of to represent your brand. But AI is a great sidekick or companion to help you structure things, to help you frame them. So for example, for mobile friendliness, we want to keep subject lines short. So it can help me come up with a catchy subject line that would fit those needs. But if you try to just completely get out of the way and let AI do your job, then yeah, it's going to replace you.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like any other tool. Each tool needs someone to use the tool. And so it's not a replacement, but a complement to what you do.
Exactly. If you are just like, I'm going to offload everything to AI, you're going to be just as forgettable as every other business who is offloading everything to AI.
Oh my gosh, this is good. With emails, can you send too many emails? Because I have some influencers and stuff who are in my inbox. And I'm like, okay, I just heard from you like 3 hours ago. Okay, that's you again. And I'm not opposed to, like, I get some stuff every Sunday from certain people. They'll give you a recap or a podcast drops. But is there a rule of thumb for how much is too much?
Okay, these days I have not met a single person who says there's not enough emails in my inbox. But I have met plenty of people who say the exact opposite. So I think we can safely say that too many emails, yes, that is entirely possible. And that's one of the top reasons that people give when they unsubscribe from a list. There isn't like a rule of thumb for how many emails is the right number. What's important is that the expectation and the meeting of it again. And ideally, give your people choices. If you send daily emails, maybe let them opt out for that weekly recap instead. So it's not going to be actually that many people who take advantage of the preferences. I think maybe some of them are not used to it, and some people are just like, I'm done. But for those that use the preferences, they're usually the more engaged subscribers. So I am a big advocate for that. Give people choices and they will stay. But if you start swamping them with emails, they will not.
So if you had just one piece of advice to share with entrepreneurs on how to play big faster, what would it be?
I think it is know yourself and kind of respect your part in your business. We fall for the gurus, the marketing advice, and try to push ourselves to do things that aren't right for us or for our business. And knowing yourself, knowing what you're willing to do, and kind of adapting things and doing it sideways rather than I have to follow these exact steps because this person said so, will get you farther than just trying to follow someone else's footsteps.
MV, thank you so much for all the gems you dropped on the podcast. If someone wants to take this conversation offline and contact you, what is the best way to reach you?
It is no surprise that I love email, so please email me at mv@inboxwelcome.com. I'm also pretty active on LinkedIn, so do please connect with me. And if you are in SF Bay area, we can meet in person since you said offline. I do like to see 3D humans once in a while that I am not related to.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And everyone, until next time, play big faster.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Play Big Faster podcast. Want more entrepreneurial content?
I like this.
Make sure to subscribe for future episodes.
Already subscribed.
I just clicked on it.
Don't forget to like and leave a review. Share with a friend that needs this in their life.
I think you need this more than I.
Oh, and make sure to follow Scherrie on IG at Scherrie Speaks. And remember to play big faster.